What is up, everyone? Ghost Riposte here, coming at you with a weapon showcase from the point of view of an average PvPer. My main channel is in the description, which is scripted, and this is not. So if I ramble too much, it's because I'm still getting used to doing unscripted videos. But anyway, let's get right into the Hand of Malenia as our first weapon. Of course, we have it on +10. We're dueling at rune level 150. We have 60 vigor, 33 endurance, 20 strength, 80 dex. Now, I think the main keys are to hit the 80 dex and the 60 vigor on rune level 150 with mind, intelligence, faith, and arcane all being left as is. And this, of course, began as a samurai. Because samurais are freaking cool, that's why. But anyway, I think so strength could be 16 if you wanted it to be instead of 20, but given that there are limited respecs and larval tiers in the game, at least unless you run a bunch of new game plus cycles, because I don't think you can drop the larval tiers, and I didn't want to respec 4 points of strength into endurance for the sake of a larval tier. And like I said, I think the key components are the 80 dex and the 60 vigor. As long as you have those on rune level 150, you are golden, which I believe 80 dex is the hard cap. Now for the talismans, I went the green turtle talisman, which raises stamina recovery speed. The Erd Tree's Favor +2, which is obviously the Ring of Favor from prior games. Now, I think the Erd Tree's Favor and the Green Turtle Talisman are going to be staples in most melee builds. We also added the Crimson Amber Medallion +2 for additional HP, and the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman to enormously boost our physical damage negation. That's right, not just a little bit. We're enormously boosting it. Corniness aside, I think a lot of people would also choose to throw on the Radagon Soar Seal. It doesn't really make sense with what our stats were, as like I said, I think the Dex hard cap is at 80 in Elden Ring. I'm still trying to play around with all the, max efficiency of each build, but I didn't think the Radagon Soar Seal made sense for this build. If you're a good player and really good at dodging attacks and you don't get hit a lot, because it does increase your damage taken, yeah, then chuck it on. But like I said, it didn't really make sense with my stats anyway. So I did not put on the artist formerly known as the Prisoner's Chain. So I think what some people could also do is put on the Shard of Alexander, the Godfrey icon, or the Rotten Winged Sword insignia. And the reason those three is because they each boost your skill moves or your successive attacks, which I will talk about now. So obviously the big move is going to be the L2 nuke, the Waterfowl Dance. Now, I know it's really tempting with really sweet weapons with cool L2s to just do nothing but spam the L2. Obviously, I'm talking about Rivers of Blood, Moonveil, and of course, Hand of Malenia. Any weapon that has a sweet L2, it's going to be really hard not to just spam it. So I'm going to tell you why that's probably not a good idea, though. It is really fun to use, but it's going to work really well versus newer players. The problem is people that are really good at the game see that coming from a mile away. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to spend my Elden Ring time just beating people that I'm better than already. I want to get good at the game and beat people that are better than me, because I think that's more satisfying and fun to get better and better and beat people that are really good. And they're going to see L2s like this coming from 37 miles away. So what you're better off doing is holding that in your back pocket and using your R1s as a jab. Many times your running R2 is going to be really useful. I use the running R2 probably more than any other attack on this weapon because its range is way longer than it looks like it should be. Or at least people get caught by it all the time. I think they think, makes sense. They have a lot more space than they actually do. And is really good at catching people just on the end of it as they run away. And it's a roll catching machine, which again, it's not going to work as well for better players, but versus your average player, you're going to be able to R2, roll catch, R2, roll catch, R2, roll catch in an endless cycle. So I think that's going to be a big key component. The point back around, if you face someone and the match is going on for, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, and you haven't used the L2, I notice people, they don't totally forget, but I mean, I don't know because I'm not in their head, but it seems like they almost forget you have a Waterfowl Dance, or they're just shocked that you're not using it. And then that's when you could bust it out, when they eventually make a mistake and realize like, oh shit, I forgot you have Waterfowl Dance. So you could be fighting, an example would be, and they have a big strength weapon and they do some big jumping attack where they get where they use a big jumping R2 and they get kind of stuck in the ground for that second where you have a second to react. And then that's when you bust out the R2 when they've almost forgotten that you have it. If you just wait around to spam it at the beginning of the match, they're going to see that. Everyone's going to see that from a mile away. So you're better off using it for that. Now, also another great time to use it is as a wake up. If you get a parry and a riposte and then you use your L2, it's really hard to get away from that if you do it while the person is directly underneath you. Same thing would apply to a backstab. Now, the rest of the moveset is a really, really generic katana moveset, or I shouldn't say generic, but katana moveset. We all know it's the R1s, R2s, same katana moveset it's always been. The running R1, I really didn't use. The way the hitbox is and the animation is just, I didn't find it to be any more useful than just going for the R2. I didn't find it to be that applicable. Same with the crouching R1. I didn't find doing that to be that much more useful than the standing one. It's hard to tell, but I think the one-handed one might have a little more range to it. It's hard to tell when you're doing it rather than when you're facing it, but I found the crouching R1 to be useful sometimes, but I didn't use it a lot. So other than that, we had the jumping attacks, which I'm still working into my arsenal in general in Elden Ring. I haven't figured out exactly how I want to utilize jumping attacks, when to use them and when not to. It's mostly just using them for fun at the moment. You could use them to mix people up because it does get pretty telegraphed. If you're just running after players that are good, just R2 like this, they're going to be able to just dodge that every time. So there are times where you can mix it up and do other things and then come back to a running R2. So you could go that route as well. But I think that pretty much covers everything. So let's get into some duels. So let's get into this first duel with some running R2s, which is always going to be the bread and butter of this weapon. I think it's so good at closing space and keeping pressure on people. Although I get hit there, but I still like staying right in people's faces. I'm really into this aggressive play style at the moment. That was a nice little mix up right there. Nice little switch. I think he hard swapped maybe. But yeah, you just keep staying right in people's faces and force them to make mistakes. Let them fiddle around in their menu if they want to fiddle around in their menu. I have nothing against hard swapping. I like hard swapping too, but a lot of people, when they're practicing it, if you just stay right in their face, you'll always catch them fiddling around in their menu. I mean, players that are really good, not so much. I put this clip in because I just thought it was hilarious. Like, honestly, I'm at rune level 150 with 60 vigor, and the guy kills me in 2 hits. I mean, you could complain about people, quote unquote, telling you how to play as much as you want, but I mean, I don't know how you could use that build and not find it extremely cheesy. I mean, you just use it as you want, but I still find it hilarious. Anyway, into the next round, the roll catching running R2 is just, look at this, R2, 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 R2 all day. I gotta leave a little more space in these clips next time to commentate, give myself some more time. But again, it's all about just staying in people's faces and forcing them to make mistakes and panic and do stuff that doesn't make any sense. Just get right in people's faces. That running R2 all the time, all day. I mean, you're not gonna be able to roll catch like this all the time. Better players are gonna get roll caught once and then they're going to change up. Which is a good point for new players. If you get roll caught once, it's so hard to break the habit of just spamming circle to get away, because you could do it versus the PvE, but good players are just going to continuously roll catch you. But yeah, change direction on your roll, man. Roll and then either attack back into the... It seems risky, but you have to either attack back into the player or roll back into them. If you just keep rolling away endlessly, good players are just going to roll catch you all day long. And I'm not even that great, and I can do it. So really good players are going to always put you out like that. This is a really cool build I came across, this great sword with magic. But again, you just see these running R2s all day long. Here's a really good example of when to use Waterfowl Dance. See, big swinging strength weapon, that's when you use it. That's when you bust it out. And here's when you don't use it. Nothing going on, completely neutral, and you just spam it. I mean, the guy actually even parried it, which I didn't even know you could parry it. So I got away with it there. But there's an example of when to and when not to use it. Don't use it from neutral. Use it when the other person makes a bad maneuver on their end. Mages, it's great. All mages, you might take some damage running in. I kind of messed up my roll a little bit there. A little sloppy here, but still, just stay right in their face. They're always going to be trying to run away. Always trying to back up. Just keep pressure on them. Force them to make mistakes. Madness is such a cool addition to the game. I love the Madness build. Haven't really used it yet, but it looks awesome. The Vike Spear in character, I need to look more into it because it's freaking awesome. It's a little limited. Maybe if there's DLC, they'll add some more Madness spells. You could dream. Still not that good at catching backstabs in the game. But again, always, you'll notice almost all these fights, I have the other players backing up. Always keep the person who creates the pressure is almost always the one who wins. Almost every time. Like when you watch really good players, they're always right on top of their opponent. Unless they're like swapping around and working on things, but this guy was pretty good. See right there, that's a good example. He rolled the first one. I went to roll catch him again, and instead of just spamming roll away, he kind of ran. He kind of looped around, and he ran around the attack instead of just roll spamming away. This guy was pretty decent, if I remember. Yep, he's got that sweet dual wielding, but I did catch him there. See the range, it's way longer than people think. They think they're out of range. This was kind of a goofy fight. This guy had, I mean, he obviously has quite a bit of a meme build here. And I think he even healed. Yeah, he heals here. And I was kind of like, I mean, whatever. He's obviously using like a really memey build. If he had like a blood build or something cheesy, I probably would have quit. I probably would have been a little more frustrated. But you know, he's obviously just using a complete meme build. That's not that. I don't even think he got an attack in on me. I don't think he hit me at all anyway, because you know this is pretty easy to avoid. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I love this helm. This helm cracks me up. But another dual wielding. That dual wielding L1 does a lot of damage with Claymore type weapons. This size weapons. These size weapons, I guess I forgot what we're going by, great swords in this game or not. But the problem is they're pretty telegraphed. Those L1s are you can see them coming. Again, the jumping attacks, I'm not that into the jumping attacks yet. Maybe people have figured out a way to mix them into their build, but they just seem so telegraphed to me. This was a good match. This will probably be our last duel of the day because it really utilizes, I think I end up using Waterfowl Dance at a pretty good time here. This bull armor is so hard to get around. This guy was so tanky. I felt like I was doing so much damage. I hit him quite a few times and I was doing so little damage. He was so tanky. Yep, dodges that. Yeah, this was a really good matchup. I would have liked to face this guy a few more times because he was a good player and we had a pretty even matchup. But yeah, I love see there, he was coming in. I caught him rolling in. He did pretty good avoiding most of it. Actually, I guess I got him with more of it than I thought. But see, when I saw him roll, I went for it as I saw him rolling in, not from neutral, not just while we're looking at each other. Yeah, I was pretty happy to pull out the victory here because this guy was pretty good. But that'll be it for today. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Again, I'm Ghost Riposte. If you want to check out my main channel, it's more scripted rankings type of videos. If you like that stuff, in the description. For now, take care. I'll see you tomorrow.
Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.